Bonjour. Quoi ça dit? Ça se plume? Ici, Kirby Jambon. Et encore, on est après apprendre le français louisianais. Yes, again, we're learning Louisiana French. Thank you for joining us today for this lesson. As I've said every lesson, we're learning Louisiana French, the French language spoken by Cajuns, Creoles, French Louisianians of all types, Native Americans, different French, different persons who identify with the French language in Louisiana. I'm Kirby Jumbo, and I'm happy to be with you here today. Again, if you'd like to follow along with us, please Facebook message me, and I'll add you to the Louisiana French Lessons chat group, and they'll have some documents there, such as these, that you can follow along as we're gonna go use these documents to some degree. In fact, one of the documents I would like you to use for our next lesson. If you go to page 11, page 11, you're going to see a lesson on le temps, the weather. T-E-M-P-S, le temps is the weather. Again, we talked about last time how temps can mean time in certain instances, but other times you would use the word heure ou l'heure ou la fois. And but temps can also mean weather. And so we're going to talk about next time Louisiana French terms for the weather and how they differ, maybe from region to region, and how they differ from other areas of the world, and how they might be exactly the same. And we'll talk about some expressions using the weather. But in order to do that, you have to help to really follow along. Go to the LSU Cajun French website, and you're going to see a document, or a page there, I should say, on le temps, and you can fill out page 11 in the packet to follow along with us. Okay? Again, if you have any questions, please Facebook message me through the chat group, and I will be happy to address any questions. If you have a suggestion about something, someone has a suggestion, and we did a little special lesson because of that suggestion. So anything you want to learn about, anything I can help you with, please do so. And thank you so much for your support and of the Louisiana French language. On parle toujours le français louisianais. We still speak Louisiana French, et on va lâcher pas la patate. We're going to not drop the potato, as we say, which means we're not going to give up. We're going to continue speaking Louisiana French. Okay. For this time, just a little lesson. I want to talk about some words in Louisiana French that come from different sources. I'd like to talk a little bit about this is on at the bottom of page 5 in the packet, and it talks about some terms, maritime terms in Louisiana French. And one of the things we see in Louisiana French and in Old Acadian French is this use of terms that, as they refer to everyday terms that were typically in international French, refer to things dealing with the sea. Okay, we talked about one before, en marée, tried en marée, or sometimes pronounced amarré or en marée. You'll hear both pronunciations. En marée, amarré, which in international French means to tie up a boat, to moor. But in Louisiana French, we tie up everything with that, en marée. Okay, in the international French, they would use the term attaché. We have the term bail, and bail is the word we use for a tub, where like a metal tub, internationally they would use more of the term cuve for that. Okay, le bord is a term that we use to mean side. In international French, it's more, you use it speaking more in a nautical sense, the side, along the side of a boat or a wharf or something like that. But in we also use the word côté, which is another word for side, but we use the word bord a great deal, and mostly it has more of a nautical sense. Okay, an old term that we use for to sink is caler. Yeah, caler meaning to sink. It was always a little joke in my family because we have some friends, their last name is Caler. Now, Caler, as you can see, is spelled C-A-L-E-R. There's a family name C-A-L-A-I-S, C-A-L-L-A-I-S, it's also like a place in France. And it sounds the same in Louisiana French, Caler. And what I was saying was, these friends of my families, they have a boat business, and so it's so you would call it so if you would see one of his boats, it's un bateau à Calais. That's one of Calais' boats, but it's and bateau à Calais also mean the boat sank, so it's kind of funny. Bonjour mes amis Calais. Another word we like to use is déshabiller. Déshabiller, which would mean to uncover. In international French, they use the term découvrir, which is also to discover. But déshabiller, you would uncover. C'est une des choses que mon pape faisait quand j'étais petit, là. Quand j'étais au lit, je voulais pas me lever. C'était l'heure pour aller à l'école et je voulais pas me lever. Il m'a déshabillé. Il a pris tous les couverts et tous les draps. So one of the things, if you didn't catch that, one of the things my dad used to do when I was little was déshabiller to wake me up in the morning. When I had time to go to school and I didn't want to wake up, he would come in and he turned the lights on. He had a very sweet voice, you know, and like tell us to wake up. But if we didn't wake up, and take all the covers and sheets off of us, he would déshabiller. Yeah. And again, that was used more of a nautical sense rather than in a sense of everyday sense. You wouldn't use that typically to describe what my dad did. Okay. Another word that we use that comes from maritime words is the word griller. Yeah. Griller is a word meaning to supply, to fix up. Probably would have been used more in the past to rig up a boat of some sort, like the sail and everything, or to fix up, or to put everything you need in the boat. I'm not a marine or a sailor, so I'm not sure, but I know it does have it had more of a nautical sense. Griller for us means that you have everything you need. You're fixed up. You're supplied with what you need. Okay, you peux être grillé et tu peux être dégrillé. You can be, whenever you put the word dé in front of a verb, it makes the opposite of it. So griller and dégriller. For example, there's a term. There's an old expression in Louisiana French that is dégrailler Saint-Pierre pour griller Saint-Paul. That's like rob Peter to pay Paul. But you dégrilled one to griller the other. Okay. Halle. Halle is the word we use for to pull. Halle has an H at the beginning, and in Louisiana French we pronounce the H. Internationally, you might not. In Acadian French, we pronounce the H as well. Halle. It comes from the word haul or tug comes from that. If you can imagine a boat hauling or tugging something, halle. But for us, we pull everything. You hale-toi une chaise et assis-toi au bord, ici à côté de moi. Okay, you know, pull yourself a chair and sit down right next to me over here. Okay, halle. Tirer has a different meaning in Louisiana French. Well, it has some of the same meaning in international French. We use tirer meaning to shoot as well, but tirer. But tirer can also mean to throw. Tirer can also mean to throw. And tirer can also is what you do to get some lait d'une vache. We're international French, they would say traire une vache. We say tirer une vache, to milk a cow. Yeah. All right. Some folks might use naviguer, meaning to drive, to a car. Navigate is, of course, you can hear it sounds like navigate, which you would do to a boat. But people might use it to drive. Other words you might hear in Louisiana French word to drive would be gouverner, which means to steer. Gouverner might mean to drive, or just drive. Tu vas drive ton char. So it might just sometimes, and we do again. We do have some English words that we bring to the language. It's interesting, you know, when some kind of, and as we might have mentioned before, when new words, when you encounter new concepts, new words in English, often those words become part of the language because the Louisianians were not educated in the French language. They didn't go to school for well, most of us. There were some who did, of course, but they did not get an education in French language. So either they created a word that resembled an old French word, they put words together, or they came up with use the English term. You know, so some people might say drive for that. Other people might use a related French term of naviguer or gouverner. Some might even know the term conduire, and to use those terms to describe the concept of driving a car. For example, for car, we don't use the modern French term voiture. Well, it was actually an old French term. Some people might use voiture to describe a boat, actually. But we use the term char. Which is an old French term for a car as well. We don't typically use the English term car. That one we have a term for it. But sometimes we'll adapt the English term. You know, so. Another good Louisiana French term is pare, and it's found in Acadian French, pare, which would mean ready. In international French, it would be pronounced prêt or prête. It changes with masculine and feminine. But pare is the word we use to mean ready. And again, it was a nautical term, a maritime term that we found. And again, these are found pretty much in Acadian and Cajun French, Louisiana French, I should say, because not only Cajuns use these terms as well. Once. Here's another interesting term. Once is not now. This is like it's kind of interesting concept. In the south central, southwestern parts of the state, you're going to find places like they have like L'Anse aux Pailles and L'Anse des Jeunes, which Le Jeune Cove and Straw Cove and places like that. Roberts Cove, named of coves, and they're inland. They're in the prairie. They're in the prairie. So it's kind of fascinating that you have the term once used, cove used to describe something in in there. But it was more like a carved regions of wooded areas in the prairies kind of thing. So it kind of resembled like a cove, like the difference between the prairie grass and the wooded areas kind of looked like a cove, like with the water and the land. So you'd hear the word ons used, and it begins with the vowel, and typically words that begin with the vowel, for example, when you begin with the vowel, if you wanted to say the cove, it's pronounced lons, L apostrophe, because you don't say le ons or la ons, you say lons. And so you have lons au paille, which would be straw cove, lons des Jeunes, le jeune cove, and things like that. Another interesting word is that for those who are not familiar with the different types of wetlands, there are different types of wetlands in Louisiana, and sometimes people just use the term, either use the term bayou or the swamp. Let's correct that real quick, okay, right off the bat, because some people like to say, hey, you live, they say, oh, look, I'm in some place in Louisiana. Hey, I'm on the bayou. I'm in the bayou. Or you're not in the bayou or not on the bayou, unless you're not in the bayou unless you're actually in like a small river, kind of a small muddy river. You're not on the bayou unless you live along a region that has a bayou. That's it, okay? The bayou is not a huge region. It's a place along a bayou. Like, I'm from the bayou, okay? From the bayou. My bayou is called Bayou La Fourche, and that's where I grew up. And so I'm from the bayou. I don't live on the bayou anymore, but I'm from the bayou. But I live in French Louisiana in Lafayette, but I don't live on the bayou. Bayou is simply a type of small. The best word is like a small river kind of sense as well. But a swamps typically are swamps. One of the basic differences in swamps and another term, marshes. Swamps and marshes refer to two different types of wetlands. Swamps are more wooded areas. They tended to have fresh water. Wetlands can have different types of water. Marshes can have different types of water, and we have different terms for them. So a swamp, we typically refer to a swamp. In Louisiana French, we call it un cyprière. Try that, un cyprière. Cyprière. It comes from the word cyp, which is the word for cypress, the bald cypress particularly. And it's because in almost all swamps, you might have des saules, some willow trees, des saules, but we still, most of the time, it's cypress trees, and so we refer to most swamps as cyprière, des cyprières. For example, le bassin à Chafalaya, c'est un grand cyprière. The Chafalaya Basin is a big swamp. Okay, you have le bassin Barataria, the Barataria Basin, which is also like another big swampy area as well. But as you get lower along the Barataria and you get lower along to the coast, you have more lands that we refer to as marshlands. And marshlands can have different water, and there are different names for them. Internationally, you may have heard the term mare used, and sometimes that's used, although that might be used more often for like a pond in Louisiana, but mare. But one of those terms you'll hear more in the south central, southwestern parts of the state is the term mesh. They use the term des meches for marsh, des meches. In the southeastern part of the state, they use a term called la prairie, which is the word for prairie. You might say, well, why do they call marshlands prairie? Well, the original term, we believe, was la prairie tremblante, which would be the trembling prairie, la prairie tremblante. And la prairie tremblante got its name because the land was, sometimes more water, sometimes more land. So it was kind of like it was trembling. And it could have l'eau salée, which is salt water, or l'eau saumate, which is brackish water, that water which is in between salt and fresh water. L'eau douce, most of the swamps would have l'eau douce, which is the word we use for fresh water. You say l'eau douce for those terms as well. So those are some of the Louisiana French terms started that. And we have lots of terms in Louisiana that have older origins, but we also have terms that come from newer things. So it's, you can say that part of Louisiana French is what we call le vieux français. Okay, it's an older French. But part of it is part of our reality. It describes what we encounter here in Louisiana French. A couple of, terms come from Native American terms because it's words that we encountered here, Some terms are dependent on what influenced what we talk about. Like one of the things we talk about is what we used, quand tu veux boire ton café, when you want to drink some coffee, you have to make some coffee. And when we make coffee in Louisiana, we make coffee in engreg. Try that, engreg. Engreg. Where internationally they would say in cafetière, we would say engreg. And a nice expression to tell people is that when you want to visit And I'm looking forward to that time. And once we're finished with this time of isolation, when you want to visit with someone, you can tell them, hey, la greg est chaude. Try that. La greg est chaude, which means the coffee pot's hot, which means you can come over and visit, come over and have some coffee. I remember with my grand-mère, she had, my grand-mère Jambon, she had two, there were usually like 2 times during the day where you can expect a visit. And you don't have to call, you don't have to come out, you can just, you can drop by. And there was like mid-morning and mid-afternoon. Right? So you would have mid-morning and after they did their breakfast and all they did was time, you would come over and elle avait du café. She might have a little something to eat, with that, as well. And then you can come in mid-afternoon. I remember my grand-mère, my maman, Gisclard, I would usually go there in the afternoon. And she would have some more café as well. Sometimes with sometimes with a little piece of, it's du pain, du beurre, a little piece of bread and butter. But if you had something else to eat, you'd have a little bit with your coffee there. And my grand-mère Jambon, in the mornings, they would come over when that Greg was showed for a visit. And I remember there was a fellow who would come in there, Monsieur Inès Perse, and he would come in and he would always have a pousse café. I don't know if you know what a pousse café is. Well, pousse café means, pousse means to push, but I don't know where the origin of the name of it. Pousse café would be a coffee with a little shot of alcohol in it. Yeah, in the morning, every morning. Yeah. So la greg est chaude, ici c'est nous autres, encore. And so I'm hoping that la greg est chaude chez vous autres. Y'all have a cup of coffee, enjoy the lessons, and please, again, try to work on those information for le temps for next time, and we'll use that as our discussion for next week's lesson on le temps, okay? And it's been my pleasure. Y'all passez une bonne fin de semaine. Have a great weekend, and soignez-vous et soignez les autres. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other, et on va se voir plus tard. Au revoir.